What's good, Girl413 here back in today, and today guys, I'm going to be going over all of the brand new updates that are coming to Forza Horizon 4 in the Series 8 update, which launches this Thursday, April 11th. Now, I am really pumped for this because there are some great updates coming out with this, including some new updates to Festival Playlists, new updates to drifting, as well just to some customization that I know a lot of you guys are going to be very excited about. So without further ado, let's actually go ahead and hop into it. So starting things off, let's go ahead and talk about Festival Playlists, because a lot of people have either loved Festival Playlists or a lot of people have really hated Festival Playlists, and I think that's based on the time constraints and the fact that not everybody has Xbox Live Gold, as these are really the two people that I've really heard, I hate Festival Playlists, it should go away. You know, I actually really like Festival Playlists. I come home, I make my videos, I do all the Festival Playlist stuff, I'm good to go. But I understand there's a lot of people that are really busy out there, or just can't afford Xbox Live Gold. I mean, Xbox Live Gold is expensive, like, let's be real. So, you know, there had to be updates made. And Forza has listened, because earlier in the series, what they did is they went in and they heard the people saying, I don't have enough time to do this. So they took the 100% reward and they dropped it down to 80%, making it much easier for players to, you know, if you can't play every 3 days, but maybe let's say you can play every 5 days, well, you can still hop on, you can get that 80%, no big deal. But now, this still kind of left out a lot of the Xbox Live Silver members, so they've kind of implemented a new feature that hopefully is going to be beneficial to those individuals. And what this is instead of having exclusive cars in the 80% category, they are now only going to be in the 50% category. What this means is all cars that are in the 80% category are going to be already in the game. This could be like wheel spin cars, it could be cars that were already exclusive via Forzathon shop, or through seasonal championships, or even the Festival Playlist rewards, at a later date of course. But, you know, it's going to make it so that all the brand new cars, nobody is going to miss out on these if they put in the time, because Xbox Live Silver members, if they did everything that they possibly could only top out at like 70%, and that does kind of suck. But now let's talk about drifting, because there are two big updates coming to drifting in Horizon 4 this month. The first one is that drift camera is here. For those of you guys unaware, over in Forza Motorsport 7, they implemented a new feature last update, where basically if you're drifting in first person mode, instead of looking directly straight out the windshield as you're driving, instead you'll turn your head and you'll look out the side windows. That way you can still see where you're going, and this has finally made it over to Horizon 4. In fact, they're actually thanking the players over, or not the players, boop boop boop. So but now let's talk about drifting, because there are two big drifting updates coming to Horizon 4 this series. The first one is that drift camera is here. For those of you guys who don't know what drift camera is, when you're drifting in first person mode, instead of looking straight out the windshield, you'll actually turn your head and you will actually look out the side windows as you're going along. So for those of people who have a wheel, or just those people who use a controller and like to drive first person, I'm honestly a third person kind of guy, but that's just me. You know, you're going to be able to look out the window and drifting is going to be a little bit easier. They first implemented this over in Forza Motorsport 7 with the last update. In fact, Playground Games actually thanked the Turn 10 employees for developing this, because it's just like, hey, they put it in, it's really successful, we can just really quickly implement it into Horizon 4, and it works. So that is actually fantastic news for us. So now let's talk about the next update in drifting, which is going to be a new online adventure series. We talked about this kind of last week a little bit, where they were saying, they brought it up. They didn't really, you know, talk too much in depth about it, but what they did in order to try and make some changes is they went onto the new Forza Discord channel and they actually asked players what they would want to see in a drifting online adventure. So I'm actually really excited about that. Hopefully there was some good player feedback, as honestly I'm really excited about this. I am really excited about this, because I've been kind of staying away from online adventure like the plague, because finding a race is very difficult, at least in the co-op one. At least the co-op. I really haven't tried too much of the solo, because you gotta do 8 online adventures before you can even qualify for ranked, which does kind of suck. But this one, you know, it's drifting. I think there's a lot of people interested in drift, and through this, there's going to be a lot more races available for everybody. So now exactly how does this work? Well, at the start of every race, everybody is going to be ghosted. So there's going to be no griefing, nothing like that. You know, you're going to be able to just keep drifting, doing your best, getting the best scores that you possibly can. As well, they decided that, you know, oh, we're not going to put inclement weather in, because when you're drifting, you kind of want it to be predictable. You don't want it to be unpredictable where you're in the rain or in the snowstorms or anything like that. You want it to be a little predictable, so they are doing dry weather across the board. However, though, you do got to remember that we are going to go into winter, so there might be a little snow on the ground on some of these tracks. So how does scoring work? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, how scoring works in this game for drift, it is based on speed and angle, and that's it. I was a little bit worried when they said that they were using tracks and turning them into drift zones, and in the video that they were playing, they actually showed them drifting around, and they had the full race line on, and that got me a little worried, because in Forza Motorsport 7, one of the factors that plays into it is how close you are to the actual race line. That is not the case here in Horizon 4, so you can get whatever line you want, and you can still do okay. Now, like I was saying, it's based on angle and speed, but speed does have a limit, and that is only up to 90 miles per hour, and I'm pretty sure the angle only goes up to 90 degrees, because if you go more than 90 degrees, what happens is you end up stop drifting, essentially. Although, we'll have to see how that actually works, considering the fact that this is a drift zone, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. I know in, like, Motorsport 7, for example, that would just cut your drift off and you wouldn't be able to do anymore. But how would a reverse entry work in this game? I'm actually curious. I want to see how that'll work. That might be really, really interesting. But at the end of every single race, how the score is tallied up is it's not based on the total amount of drift points you get throughout the race, which is 7 minutes long. What it is it's actually based on your best lap. So if you're able to get, let's say, 4 laps in, let's say you start off your first lap, you get 180,000. Alright, not too bad. Your second lap, you do a little better, 185,000. Third lap, let's say you crash out and you just have a terrible lap. You drop down to 70,000 points and you're thinking, oh man, I'm done. But then finally on your fourth lap, you get through it and you actually pull off one of the best laps ever. And you get 250,000 points. Well, let's say that 250 is the best lap out of anybody. Well, you just won that race. That's how that works. I'm a little curious to see how the community thinks on this, because I honestly wish it was actually based on total points. Because if somebody messes up in the middle of a race, I honestly think they might need to be penalized for that. But that's my opinion. I don't know about you guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you feel about that scoring system. I'm a little bit weary, but I'm still interested in trying this out, as it does sound like a lot of fun. And finally, you may be asking, is this rear-wheel drive only? The answer is no. There are going to be all-wheel drive lobbies and rear-wheel drive lobbies, with classes ranging from B to S2. But not only are they updating us with a brand new drift adventure, they are also doing some minor tweaks to online adventure. This one I'm actually really excited about, because the first corner of every race in a Forza game is terrible. There is so much ram running, it's just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Well, Forza has decided that the first 30 seconds of each race, you're now going to be ghosted. So there is no more of that awful ram running right at the front, and I am definitely glad about this. As well, S2 races have been removed from Dirt Championships and instead have been replaced with B-class races, because they thought S2 is quite fast and there's not a lot of players who can seem to really drive on dirt in S2 cars, or they'll pick the wrong car because they'll see S2 and they'll be like, oh, I better get into a rear-wheel drive Ferrari, and then, oh, it's off-road. Yay! So instead what they're doing is they're implementing B-class, because honestly, even if your car is not really tuned for dirt, B-class you are going slow enough that you can still be competitive. I actually really like this. That was a good move on you, Forza. Then finally, the last thing that is coming in this update is going to be the fact that asphalt races, free roam rush has now been removed. They didn't remove it from your dirt and off-road races, they just removed it from the asphalt races, because let's be honest, if you're already doing a dirt and an off-road race, you got a car that is made for that terrain, so you might have to climb a mountain. But when you're doing a asphalt based race, you have to take into account, I'm going to be doing a free roam rush, I need an all-wheel drive vehicle that's going to be able to take me off-road so that I can actually win that. I can't just, hop into the best rear-wheel drive car that I have. It has to be all-wheel drive. Maybe I need to have rally tires on it. You take a lot of that into account. Well, now you don't have to worry about that at all because Free Roam Rush has now been removed. So they also did give us a glimpse into Series 9 with a couple of online adventure updates. One of these is hopefully going to be the wall riding issue. They are hopefully going to be fixing the wall riding issue. For those of you guys who don't know, when you hop into an online adventure race or just a multiplayer race, what can happen is you might go through a corner, you're going to slow down, take the corner properly, and you might be able to be the fastest Forza player ever. But the thing is though, is you got Joe Schmo behind you who doesn't know how to use his brakes, and instead he kind of lurks to the outside just a little bit, and he hits that wall, and he's able to take it around as fast as possible and get a much faster time around that corner, and he might even pass you, and it really, really does suck for those of you guys who are trying to do it legitimately, and for those of us who want to hone our skills. But then as well, they're also thinking about implementing a new anti-griefing system, which I kind of like this idea a little bit better than what they have in Forza Motorsport 7. For those of you guys who are familiar with Forza Motorsport 7, they're trying to implement something called Forza Race Regulations, which add penalties, and they calculate time, distances, and it's really complicated. This one seems a lot more simple, where basically, if you're driving down a straight and you're going faster than everyone else normally should be going, well, it's going to say, hey, you're going too fast and you're trying to grief someone, so we're just going to ghost you so you can't grief anybody. That's amazing! I love that idea. It's not overly complicated because this is an open world game. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. It's not like Forza RC where it's very technical and complicated, where the Forza race regulations will definitely come in handy. But this anti-griefing system sounds actually really, really good, and I kind of hope that they implement it into Forza Motorsport 7 as well, because I think that that would be very nice to see in online multiplayer, where, you maybe having an option to turn it on, that would be cool as well. So finally, there are two other updates that I think players are going to be very excited about. The first one is there are 100 brand new cars that are getting wheel spacers. That's right, my dudes. 100 new cars that are going to get wheel spacers. I am definitely excited about this. Originally, there was only 150, and a couple of the new cars have got them as well, but now there is going to be 250 cars in the game with wheel spacers. There's a couple cars I've been driving around where I've looked at them and been like, oh man, that really needs a wheel spacer. That really, really does. It is bad. It is bad. So then finally, there is another big update coming to the paint booth. So for those of you guys who are interested in Forza painting, like myself, this is some very, very exciting news because they are now bringing layer masks into Paint Editor. For those of you guys like myself who did not know what a layer mask is, let me go ahead and break it down into some layman's terms. Let's say that you want to get carbon fiber letters on your car. Well, getting carbon fiber letters is rather difficult in the game, considering the fact if you go into apply decals, you can't just pick carbon fiber as a color. That sucks. You can't do it. And honestly, I've always thought that that should be an option. So instead, what you do is, let's say you want the carbon fiber Forza logo on the side of your car. So you outline the Forza logo, you paint your car carbon fiber, then you go around it and you use up 100 layers by the time you're done. Well, instead what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to go in, paint the car carbon fiber, and let's say you want it to be on a white background. Well, then you go back in to apply decals, you throw a giant white shape over it, and then you go in to find your Forza logo, you put that up, but instead of applying it via a vinyl shape, you apply it via a layer mask. And what this will do is it'll eat through that white layer and any other layers that you've added on, and it'll go down to the base coat. So now you'll have that nice carbon fiber look, and you can do this with any color, stainless steel, chrome, etc., etc. That is something that I've been really hoping for a very long time. I have actually been working on a new layer group that, with this, honestly, I just need to scrap it. I just need to scrap it because it was going to be Forza Edition. That's what I was working on. It was going to be gold lettering on the side of a black car, and it was going to be Forza Edition. And I basically have been spending all this time just outlining all the letters, doing custom work, and it's just been a pain in the butt, and it's taken me a long time. I'm not quite done with it, but now I might as well just scrap it because of this update. I am excited for this update. I really and truly am. So but anyway though, that's where I'm going to go and wrap things up for today. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what is your favorite update of the Series 8 update. I am curious to hear what you guys got to say. As well, if you guys want to, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at twitter.com/Garrett113 and Instagram.com/Garrett113. And if you guys like this video, go and make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you guys already know your support is so greatly appreciated. And make sure to subscribe for more videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.